With the right voluntary excess value, you may be able to reduce your insurance premium. Are you aware of this? What is an excess and how does it even work? Hey, it's CJ. Let's talk. Let's get right into it, okay? What's an excess? An excess is a policyholder's financial contribution towards a claim. It's the lump sum that policyholders get to pay to their motor insurance providers toward a claim. Then the motor insurance provider pays the rest of the cost of repair or the cost of replacement, as the case may be. Total excess value is usually a combination of various excesses that are applicable in each situation. It is important to note that excess values may be the same or may differ for various drivers that are insured on the same policy. What are the classes of motor insurance excesses? The first is voluntary excess. It is the value that you willingly want to put down as a policyholder should there be an accident and then you make a claim, or a total loss and you make a claim. The higher the voluntary excess, the likely lower your premium would be. However, there are exceptions to this rule because various underwriters look at different factors in determining what the total premium would be. The second type of excess is the compulsory excess. This is set by the insurers themselves. It may cover accidental damage, total loss, fire and theft, windscreen replacement, windscreen repair, and the list goes on and on. The third type of excess that we also need to consider today is the conditional excess. Although most insurers classify this as a variant of the compulsory excess, however, it is expedient we also point it out. Conditional excesses are dependent on certain factors on your policy or certain conditions, on the policy. For instance, there is the young driver excess, which some insurers apply to accidental damage excesses if a driver is up to 17 years but less than 21 years. It may also be applicable in the case of a total loss. It all depends on the overall business rule. Another example of the conditional excess is the inexperienced driver excess. This excess is applicable to drivers that are up to 21 years but less than 25 years on a policy. Or if any driver, no matter their age, if they've got the provisional UK license instead of the full manual or full auto, then they get to pay the inexperienced driver excess if there is an accident involving them or if there's a case of a total loss of their vehicle. This is dependent on the insurer and the values are totally different across all insurers. A third example of the conditional excess is the non-approved repairer excess. This is applicable in cases where policyholders prefer their own garage to the standard repairers recommended by the motor insurance providers. Just assume that we've got policyholder A who is 28 years old and he has a vehicle and the cost of the vehicle is £19,999. Policyholder A has just added his brother to the policy, Mr. B. Mr. B is 24 years old and they've also added Miss C. Miss C is 20. Policyholder A again has taken out a policy agreeing to a voluntary excess of £300, which means he is willing to pay £300 towards fixing his vehicle or replacing the vehicle should there be an accident or a case of a total loss. Insurers have set their own excess values as well. Compulsory excess of £50, windscreen replacement excess of £70, windscreen repair excess of £25, inexperienced driver excess of £100, and then young driver excess of £200. And they've also set up the non-approved insurer excess of £200. Total accidental damage excess for policyholder A will likely be voluntary plus compulsory plus the conditional, so that's 300 plus 50 plus 0, so that's 350. Whereas the fire and theft excess for Mr. A will be voluntary plus compulsory, so that's 300 plus 50, and that's 350 as well. However, for the first named driver, Mr. B, the accidental damage excess is going to be voluntary plus compulsory plus the conditional, so that's 300 plus 50 plus the 100, making it a 450 pounds. Whereas the fire and theft excess for Mr. B, policyholder named driver, would be 300 plus 50, that's 350. Then for the second named driver and the last driver, the third driver on the policy, Miss C, accidental damage excess is going to be 300 plus 50 plus 200, giving 550 pounds, whereas the fire and theft excess is 300 plus 50, giving 350 pounds. So you can see that the accidental damage excess differs, whereas the fire and theft excess is exactly the same value. If there's an accident and Mr. B decides to use a repairer that isn't approved by his insurance providers, then he will be mandated to pay additional 200 for the non-approved repairer excess, and that would enable him to take his vehicle to a garage of his choice and then fix it wherever he would wish to fix it. Let's look at a few tips that are very essential towards understanding your excesses. Make sure you are aware of the excess amounts specified in your policy. So take the pen to go through your policy documents, understand what your excesses are. Then secondly, find out what types of claims are covered by your policy. It is not all insurance policies that have provision for accidental damage cover or windscreen cover. So check your policy documents and discuss with your insurance providers, ask questions. If these features are not there, you can request for them to be installed or for another brand that would cover them. Seek to understand how your insurer applies your excess, and sorts out your claims. Then try to understand the processing timelines again. For instance, if your vehicle is undrivable after an accident, the booking in date may be, for example, 3 days. However, if the vehicle is drivable after an accident, in some cases the booking date may be up to 21 days. So it's good you understand these timelines. Next tip, if there are excessive queues, a lot of people are waiting to sort out their vehicles, there are accidents and all that, you can actually request for your insurer to waive the non-approved repairer excess so that you can take your vehicle to a garage of your choice, get it fixed and save time, right? In cases of total loss, you need to find out how that is sorted. Most insurers would deduct the excess value from the cost of your vehicle and also deduct any outstanding amount you have from your premium and then pay you the rest to go replace your vehicle. And if the excess is payable on a repair claim, you may be required to pay the excess to the repair garage when the repair is completed. So find out how it works with your insurance provider. If the claim is a non-fault claim, your insurance provider may waive the excess, or they may ask you to pay and then claim it back, or they'll reimburse you. But they'll have to check that your motor insurance database is positive, and they may also require that you provide some details about the driver, that caused the accident, like the vehicle registration number, the make and the model of the car, and a few other details. Ensure that your policy includes the cover for uninsured drivers, and it also includes the vandalism promise. Do that and thank me later. And finally, go through your policy documents, read them, find out what applies so that you will be on top of your game. In this video, we've been able to discuss excesses. We've looked at what they are, how they work. We've looked at voluntary excess, compulsory excess, conditional excess, and how they are all applied to policies. and how they are calculated, most importantly. We've also looked at a few tips that would help you better understand how excesses can be applied. Thank you for your time, and I believe that this video will help you better manage your policy and better make decisions concerning your excesses. See you on the next one. It's CJ.